I played it. I've been a part of it. I've coached high school football. I was a college scout. I played for not one but two programs, and seeing guys that are out there competing for their university, seeing young guys who are also in the midst of getting an education. Even this past Saturday, there was a lot of FCS programs on TV. There was a lot of D2 programs on TV, Division III, a lot of smaller guys. And, you got the commentators. If you were listening to the game, you heard these guys, some majoring in engineering, some of the young men who are, studying to become lawyers and about to be go to law school and studying to become doctors or whatever it is they want to do in their field. To me, it's so much more of an intrigue, and it's so much more intriguing in terms of viewership to watch a college game than it is to watch an NFL game for those reasons. Now, this past weekend, obviously the games, if you're talking about the games, the actual college football games that most people watch, which was the CFP, the college football playoffs, which we're going to dive into in a second here. Obviously, those games were complete blowouts, all right? Notre Dame tapped some Indiana ass. Penn State got all up in SMU's ass. The Texas and Clemson game was actually a little closer towards the end of the game, but for the most part, Texas pretty much dominated the game. You could tell who the better team was. I don't know what's going to go out. I'm really excited to hear what the conversations are going to be like in terms of what the ACC is going to be when it comes to college football, and do we let them in, because they sure as hell, they had two teams in, and they sure as hell didn't look like they deserved to be anywhere near college football. I don't know if they look like, I'm just going off the way they were represented in the college football playoffs between SMU and Clemson. They look like a conference that no longer needs to be referred to as the power conference. It's a power conference, just like much like the Big 12 this year. They don't need to be referred to as Power 4. All right, between ACC and the Big 12, I don't know if you guys, maybe Arizona State can pull off an upset this weekend against they got Texas. Don't see happening, but it's possible that you get the Big 12 and you get the ACC. I'm not sure if they are going to be able to call themselves one of the power conferences this offseason, especially if Texas goes to Arizona State and straight, spanks them around a little bit, then between the Big 12 and the ACC, you can't really refer to them this offseason as a power conference. You just can't, because they just didn't show any testosterone. They didn't show any fight. Again, Clemson maybe put some fight in at the end. They had the opportunities to make the game close, but for the most part, Texas really, really just dominated the game overall, right? So anyway, when it comes to I got sidetracked there. When it comes to the actual make it move kickoff question, better view, and the reason I believe it's college football, it's because of, again, although the blowouts happened, and I get it, the games weren't as competitive, and at the same time as the games are going on, you had that bad man Pat Mahomes, carving up the Texans, and you had Lamar Jackson, and the Steelers were playing the Ravens at the same time. I think it was the Clemson and Texas game in which the Steelers were playing the Ravens, so I was watching both, and you had a really compelling matchup between the Ravens and the Steelers. I get all that. If we're going off just this weekend, yes, the NFL in some instances may be better viewing. But if we're talking about just overall, if you ask me what I would rather watch, I would sit down and watch college football over NFL National Football League football. Again, I don't like referring to it as pro football as much, because being in the NFL has nothing to do with you being a professional. Being a professional has everything to do with you being a professional, actually conducting your business in a certain way, being professional. But just being in the NFL, having the title to say, oh, I coach in the NFL, or I play in the NFL, or you name the title in the NFL, that doesn't make you a professional. Being a professional, how you conduct your business, makes you a professional, which, by the way, is a conversation that I'm going to be having probably on a later date sometime next year, in terms of some in terms of what it actually takes to be a professional. That's probably going to be if you're listening to when I say next year, I mean next year is really literally only a week away. So it's not like you have to wait a whole year. I used to hate when people do that to me as well at this time of year, but it'll be a conversation that we're going to have pretty soon in terms of what makes a professional. But just being in the NFL and being in the NBA doesn't make you a professional. But anyway, so question is, and again, leave it in the chat. I'll leave it up for a second. What's better viewing? Is it college football or the NFL?